His brand new assistant was convinced the famous Millionaire actor was gay, so she took it upon herself to give him romantic scene lessons, including how to kiss. The result? His on-screen chemistry skyrocketed beyond belief. Before we start, drop a comment with the city you're watching from, and when we finish, rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy. I wasn't supposed to meet my future wife in a bathrobe, standing in the middle of my trailer, holding another man by the waist while he whispered in my ear. But that's exactly how it happened, and to be fair, I can see why she jumped to the wrong conclusion. That morning had been chaos. We were shooting a big romantic drama for TV, the kind of show where everyone's hair is suspiciously perfect even after a fight scene. My co-star, Liam, had been struggling with a moment where he was supposed to grab my face, look deep into my eyes, and, well, make the audience believe we were about to kiss without actually doing it. Except every time he tried, it looked like he was checking my teeth for spinach. So we were in my trailer, running the scene over and over, me in my bathrobe, Liam pressed up against me for camera intimacy practice, when the door burst open. "Mr. Hart, here's your new personal assistant." The production assistant didn't even finish her sentence before stepping aside to let her in. She froze. Took in the bathrobe. Took in Liam's hands on my jaw. Took in the very, very close proximity of our faces. And I swear, I could see the thought land in her head, "Oh. He's gay." Hi," she said, blinking like she was trying to remember her own name. "I'm your new assistant. I think." I started to explain, but Liam, the oblivious disaster that he is, just gave her a friendly wave with one arm still around me. "Nice to meet you. We're rehearsing a love scene." Her eyes lit up like Christmas morning. "Oh. I can help with that." I had no idea what she meant, until she started listing off training techniques she'd read about in some acting blog. Eye contact drills. Posture correction. Even, emotional mirroring, whatever that is. I should have told her it wasn't necessary. Instead, I found myself laughing, and saying yes. Which is how I ended up with a brand new assistant who thought she'd been hired as my personal romance coach. And why, later that day, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Don't worry, Mr. Hart, you're safe with me. I'm great at helping guys like you with their leading lady scenes." Guys like me. I didn't correct her. Not yet. Because something about the way she said it made me curious to see just how far this misunderstanding could go. And I had no idea then that it would lead to the biggest role of my life, off camera. When I say she took her romantic scene coaching job seriously, I mean she showed up the next morning with a color-coded binder labeled Operation Chemistry. Inside were printed pages titled things like The Science of Longing Looks and 10 Types of TV Kisses, and How to Nail Them. I half expected a section on CPR just in case my heart stopped mid-embrace. "You really don't have to do all this," I told her, sipping my coffee as she rearranged my trailer furniture for better emotional flow. "Of course I do," she said, like it was obvious. "If you're going to sell romance to millions of viewers, you need to practice every gesture until it's second nature. Eye contact, proximity, hand placement," she tapped the binder. "It's all in here." Liam walked in just in time to hear that and grinned like the troublemaker he is. "Oh, this is going to be fun." So the three of us started training. First was the staring exercise, 3 uninterrupted minutes of eye contact. At first it was fine, until minute 2, when I realized she had the kind of eyes that made you forget you were supposed to blink. She didn't look away once. I, a man who has performed in front of 20,000 screaming fans, had to fake a cough just to break the tension. Then came the romantic gesture drills. She'd walk past me and I had to catch her wrist gently, turn her toward me, and make it look like I was about to confess my undying love. We repeated that move so many times I lost track, but somewhere around attempt number 15, I forgot this was pretend. My hand lingered. Hers did too. We didn't talk about it. Instead, she moved us on to practice kisses. Not real ones, she clarified, just staging the moment before. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. She leaned in, her face close enough that I could feel her breath, and whispered, "Your left angle works better for camera." I didn't care about the camera. I cared about the fact that my pulse was hammering and I couldn't remember the next line of the script. She must have noticed, because she laughed softly and stepped back. "Don't worry. I told you, you're safe with me." Safe. Right. Except I was starting to realize I wasn't. Not at all. That night, I replayed the whole day in my head. Every look. Every almost kiss. And it hit me, I was enjoying this way too much for a guy she thought wasn't even interested in women. But I didn't correct her. Not yet. Because a part of me, maybe the reckless part, wanted to see just how much heat we could generate under the cover of training. And judging by the way she smiled at me during our last wrist grab of the day, I wasn't the only one feeling it. What I didn't know was that our little rehearsals were about to go way beyond the trailer, and into a spotlight neither of us could control. It happened on a Thursday. Thursdays are usually harmless, no big press visits, no stunt sequences, just a few dialogue scenes and an early wrap. I didn't know it was the day my private training sessions were about to become international entertainment. We were on set, waiting for the lighting crew to fix a stubborn spotlight, when she decided to test my readiness for an upcoming close-up kiss scene. "Let's run it now," she said casually, as if this wasn't a public place with 50 crew members milling around. I glanced toward the extras clustered by the craft table. "Here." She shrugged. "Actors rehearse in public all the time. You're a professional, aren't you?" That's how I found myself leaning against a fake brick wall, her inches away, my hand on her waist exactly like she'd shown me in the trailer. She tilted her chin up, our eyes locked, and for a moment I forgot every camera in the building, real and otherwise. "Now," she whispered, "don't rush the lean-in." I didn't. And that's when it happened. A production intern, probably bored out of his mind, pulled out his phone and recorded the whole thing. The way I brushed a strand of hair from her face. The way she bit her lip at just the right moment. The way our foreheads touched like we'd been doing this forever. We never actually kissed. But if you watched that clip without context, you'd swear we were seconds away from making national TV history. By lunchtime, the video had escaped our set and landed on social media. By dinner, it was viral. Trending hashtags, reaction memes, fan edits with romantic ballads playing over our faces. The top comment read, "You can't fake chemistry like this." The next morning, my phone buzzed with messages from friends, my agent, and a few relatives I hadn't heard from in years. "Are you dating her? Is this a PR stunt? When's the wedding?" I tried to play it off, told my publicist we'd say it was just a rehearsal. But every time I opened the video, I could see what the internet saw, something raw, unplanned, and very real. She avoided me most of that morning, keeping her focus on props and schedules. Finally, during a break, she walked up, phone in hand. "So, we're famous now." I smirked. "Guess we're just that good at acting." Her eyes flickered, amusement, maybe suspicion. "Right. Acting." The director stopped by to inform us that the network loved the buzz. "Whatever you two are doing," he said, "keep doing it." And just like that, what had started as a misunderstanding turned into a marketing strategy. We were now the it couple of the show, on screen and, according to half the internet, off screen too. I told myself it was all for publicity. But when she brushed past me later that day, her hand grazing mine, I knew better. This wasn't just about selling romance to viewers. The real danger was how badly I wanted the next rehearsal to be for us, not for the cameras. The morning after our video hit 1 million views, my publicist shoved a cup of black coffee into my hand and said, "Smile, answer the questions, and don't say anything you can't walk back." Translation: lie if you have to. I was booked for a live morning show interview, just me, no co-star, no script. Normally, I could handle these with one hand tied behind my back. But that day, I knew the first question before I even walked on stage. The host didn't waste time. "So, Ryan," she said with that rehearsed grin, "the internet is obsessed with your mystery woman. Care to confirm if the chemistry we saw was real?" The crowd laughed, leaning in like they already knew the answer. My publicist, standing off camera, subtly shook her head. I should have said something harmless, something that hinted at the truth without igniting a wildfire. Instead, I went cold. "She's my assistant. We're just friends. What you saw was acting, good acting, but acting." It landed like a slap. The audience gave a polite chuckle, but even I heard the edge in my voice. The host moved on, but my stomach twisted. By the time I got back to set, the clip was already online. "Just friends" was trending. The comments weren't kind, to her or to me. I found her near the wardrobe racks, folding a sweater that wasn't even mine. "Hey," I started, but she didn't look up. "Big interview?" she asked, tone light but brittle. I tried to joke. "Yeah, I made sure to protect your privacy." Her hand stilled. "By making it sound like I'm some random you barely tolerate?" The guilt hit harder than I expected. "I didn't mean it like that. I was trying to keep the tabloids off your back." She finally looked at me, eyes sharp. "You didn't just keep them off my back, Ryan. You erased me. In front of millions of people." There wasn't much I could say to that. She turned and walked off before I could fix it. The rest of the day felt heavier. She was still professional, still called out my cues, still handed me my coffee, but the easy banter was gone. And every time our eyes met, there was a flicker of something I hadn't seen before: distance. That night, I lay in bed scrolling through the comments. Some defended me. Others accused me of using her for publicity. And a few said exactly what I didn't want to admit. "He's lying to himself." They weren't wrong. The problem wasn't that I told the world we were just friends. The problem was that, deep down, I didn't want that to be true. But I'd built this wall to protect her, and myself, and now it was keeping us both out in the cold. What I didn't know was that the next scene we'd shoot together would set that wall on fire. And there'd be no denying anything after that. It was supposed to be just another scene. A simple close-up for the mid-season finale, me pinning my co-star against the wall, brushing her hair back, and delivering a line that made half the crew roll their eyes. The kind of thing I could do in my sleep. Except that day, my co-star wasn't the actress on the call sheet. She'd fallen ill, and the director, desperate to keep on schedule, looked around the set and said the words I wasn't ready for: "Can you step in for blocking?" And there she was. My assistant. My just friend. My misunderstanding that had spiraled into a viral phenomenon. She hesitated, glancing at me. I tried to keep my expression neutral, but my pulse had already picked up speed. We took our marks. The cameras rolled. The set went quiet except for the hum of the lights. Action. I stepped toward her, closing the space between us like I'd done 100 times before with other actresses. But this time, my hand found her waist without thought, my thumb brushing the fabric of her blouse. She didn't flinch. She looked right at me, steady, unblinking, and for a second I forgot my line. "Say it," she murmured, and it wasn't the script. I did. Slowly, like every word was a confession. Then came the moment, the fake kiss we'd rehearsed countless times. Only this time, something in her shifted. She didn't just tilt her head for the camera. She leaned in. So I kissed her. Not a stage kiss. Not the half-contact, calculated angle kind. A real kiss, full, deep, and so charged that the air between us seemed to crackle. Somewhere, I heard the director mutter, "Keep rolling," but his voice was far away. The world narrowed to just us. When we finally broke apart, her breath caught. I was sure mine did too. "Cut," the director called, sounding almost dazed. The crew broke into scattered chatter, pretending not to have witnessed what everyone knew wasn't in the script. She stepped back, smoothing her blouse, eyes unreadable. "Guess that looked real enough for them," she said quietly. I tried to respond, but my voice was stuck somewhere between apology and confession. She didn't wait for either, just walked off set like nothing had happened. The rest of the day, I couldn't shake it. The feel of her lips. The way she'd kissed me back like she'd been holding it in for weeks. And the truth I'd been avoiding since the day she walked into my trailer. I didn't want this to be pretend anymore. But before I could even think about telling her, the past walked right onto our set, wearing heels, sunglasses, and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. My ex-girlfriend. And with her came a whole new storm. It's funny how a set can go from quiet to chaos without a single camera rolling. One minute, I was still replaying that kiss in my head, wondering if she felt what I did. The next, I heard the sound of stilettos clicking on the soundstage floor, a rhythm I knew too well. I turned, and there she was. Sienna Blake. Actress. Model. My ex-girlfriend. The kind of woman who could walk into a room and make everyone forget what they were doing, including me, once upon a time. She wore oversized sunglasses indoors and a dress designed to be noticed. "Ryan," she purred, pulling me into a hug that lingered just long enough to send a ripple through the crew. "What are you doing here?" I asked, forcing a smile. "Visiting an old friend," she said, loud enough for anyone with ears to hear. Then she glanced over my shoulder and spotted her, my assistant, standing by the prop table, holding a clipboard like it was a shield. Sienna's lips curved into something dangerous. "Oh. She's here." Before I could redirect, Sienna walked past me and straight toward her. "Hi, I'm Sienna. You must be, keeping Ryan company these days." Her eyebrows rose just enough to make the question sound like an accusation. My assistant kept her tone professional. "I'm his personal assistant." Sienna smirked. "Of course you are." Then, because she never could resist an audience, she leaned in and kissed me. Not a peck. Not friendly. A full, claim your territory kiss, right in front of everyone. I froze. Not because I wanted it, but because I knew exactly how it would look from across the room. When she finally let go, I turned to find my assistant gone. I caught up with her outside by the trailers. "It's not what it looked like." She didn't slow down. "Really?" "Because it looked like you and your very glamorous ex were having a reunion in front of the entire crew." She kissed me. "You didn't stop her." That hit harder than I expected. "It's not like that anymore. We broke up for a reason." She stopped then, finally looking at me. "You don't owe me explanations, Ryan. We're just friends, remember?" Her voice was calm, but her eyes, there was hurt there. And distance. I wanted to tell her the truth, that Sienna showing up meant nothing, that the kiss we shared earlier meant everything. But the word stuck. She nodded once, almost to herself. "I'll make sure your next scene runs on time." Then she walked away, leaving me with the sharp, sinking feeling that I'd just lost whatever fragile progress we'd made. That night, I stared at my ceiling, replaying both kisses. One had been for show. The other, I could still taste. I didn't know how to fix this yet. But I knew I had to, before she decided we really were just friends. And as fate would have it, the universe had a way of giving me the chance. Only, it came in the form of an accident that almost took her away from me completely. The day started like any other, call time at 8, coffee in hand, lines running through my head. She was there, as always, with her clipboard and that quiet efficiency that made the whole production run smoother. Only now, since the Sienna incident, there was a space between us. Not a visible one, she still did her job perfectly, but an absence I could feel in the way she avoided meeting my eyes for more than a second. We were filming a stunt-heavy scene that afternoon, one where my character pulls someone out of a moving carriage for a dramatic rescue. Normally, a stunt double would handle it, but the director thought it'd be more authentic if I did the grab myself. The plan was simple: the stunt performer would jump, I'd catch, we'd roll, everyone would clap. Except in the chaos of camera resets and prop checks, she ended up standing too close to the action. I saw it happen in slow motion, the carriage door swinging open, the stunt driver hitting a bump, her clipboard flying out of her hands as she stumbled forward into the marked path. "Move!" I yelled, but the momentum was already against her. I didn't think. I just ran. 1 second she was about to fall into the stunt rig, the next I had my arm around her waist, pulling her against me as we spun out of the way. We landed hard on the crash mat meant for the stunt performer, the breath knocked out of both of us. She blinked up at me, stunned. My heart was still racing. "You okay?" I asked, voice tight. She nodded, but her hands stayed gripping my shirt like she wasn't ready to let go. "You could have gotten hurt," she said finally. I laughed, a shaky exhale. "Better me than you." The crew rushed over, voices overlapping, but I didn't hear them. All I could see was her face, pale, shocked, and then softening into something I hadn't seen since before Sienna showed up. They called a break so everyone could recover from the scare. I walked her to a quieter corner of the set. She kept insisting she was fine, but I wasn't letting her brush this off. "You know," I said, "if you keep risking your life around here, I'm going to start charging hazard pay." That earned me the smallest smile. I wasn't the one doing my own stunts. We stood there a moment, the tension between us shifting into something warmer. Finally, she said, "Thank you for that." I wanted to tell her it wasn't just instinct, that seeing her in danger made everything else disappear. But before I could, the assistant director called us back. As she walked ahead of me, I realized something: I wasn't just trying to protect her from falling carriages or bad PR. I wanted to protect her from everything. And if I didn't tell her soon, I was going to lose the chance. That chance came sooner than I expected, on a quiet drive that turned into the conversation I'd been avoiding since the day she walked into my trailer. The accident should have been the end of the day. Instead, the director decided to wrap early, claiming everyone needed time to breathe. I offered to drive her back to her place. It wasn't entirely altruistic. I needed us in the same space without crew members or camera lenses between us. She hesitated for a moment before saying yes. The car ride started quiet. Too quiet. She stared out the window, city blocks sliding past, the late afternoon sun streaking gold across her face. I gripped the wheel like it could keep me from saying something reckless. Halfway across town, I pulled off onto a side road that curved toward a scenic overlook. She frowned. "This isn't the way to my apartment." "I know," I said, putting the car in park. The view spread out below us, skyscrapers, the river, the whole glittering mess of the city. But I wasn't looking at that. "I need to clear something up," I started. "From the first day you walked into my trailer, you thought I was gay," she finished, with the smallest, awkward laugh. "Yeah. I did. And I didn't correct you," I said. "At first because it was funny. Then because it meant I could be close to you without scaring you off. But somewhere in there," I paused, searching her eyes. "Somewhere in there, it stopped being a game." She didn't look away. "So the kiss was real," I said before she could finish. "At least for me. Completely real." The corner of her mouth twitched, but she didn't smile. "That's the problem, Ryan. I thought I was safe because you weren't interested in me like that. It made all the touching, and the rehearsals, and the staring contests easier. Now you're telling me I was wrong." "Yes," I said simply. "You were wrong. She leaned back against the seat, folding her arms. Do you have any idea how messy this could get? I do. And I don't care. I took a breath. But I need to know, was it just acting for you? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, finally, no. It wasn't. That one sentence loosened something in my chest I didn't even know had been wound tight. She looked at me again, softer now. You terrify me, you know that? Why? Because if this stops being pretend, I don't think I can go back. I reached over and took her hand. Then don't. We stayed like that for a while, the city lights blinking to life below. No scripts, no misunderstandings, no ex-girlfriends, just the truth between us, finally out in the open. But reality has a way of catching up. And ours came in the form of another viral moment, one that would put our new, fragile honesty straight into the public eye. We didn't plan the kiss. Not the real one, anyway. A week after our drive to the Overlook, we were at a charity event the network insisted I attend. The kind of glitzy, overlit affair where champagne flows and every conversation is half a pitch and half a photo op. She was there with me, not as my assistant for the night, but because I'd asked her. Quietly. Off the record. The evening was going fine until one of the show's producers cornered me with that look he gets when he's about to ask for something small. Turns out, the studio wanted a bit of bonus footage for the fans, me and her walking the red carpet together, playing up the chemistry everyone was still buzzing about. We agreed. She even joked about practicing her fake girlfriend smile. But when we stepped onto that carpet, the flashbulbs went wild, like the whole city was trying to take our picture at once. Somewhere in the chaos, a reporter shouted, "Give us a kiss." I was ready to laugh it off, but then she looked at me. Just a quick glance, almost like she was saying why not. So I kissed her. No stage angles. No careful camera blocking. Just me, her, and the roar of the crowd fading into the background. She kissed me back, her hand finding the lapel of my jacket like it belonged there. We broke apart to the sound of 100 shutters clicking at once. And in that split second, I knew it was everywhere. By the time we made it inside, my phone was buzzing non-stop. Hashtags were already trending. "This is real," one caption screamed above a loop of the kiss. The studio's PR team was ecstatic, calling it the best organic promotion in years. The next day, the network announced they were rewriting the season finale, turning what had been a quiet goodbye scene into the most romantic kiss in the history of television. That was their phrase, not mine. On set, the crew gave us knowing smiles. The director just said, "Whatever you two have, don't lose it before we shoot this." Filming that new ending felt different. Every line, every glance, it all came easier, because we weren't faking anymore. When the final kiss came, it wasn't about the show. It was ours. The episode aired 3 weeks later. Ratings broke records. Social media exploded again, this time with people demanding we make it official. We hadn't said the words yet, not to anyone. But that night, as we sat together on my couch, watching the credits roll, she leaned against me and whispered, "You know we're in this now, right?" I kissed her hair. "Yeah. And I'm not going anywhere." But the real shock came next, something even bigger than the ratings, or the kiss, or the internet losing its mind. Because at the next press conference, I had a decision to make. One that would change everything. The press conference was supposed to be about the show's renewal. That's what the network had planned, me, the cast, a few canned answers about exciting storylines ahead. I was in my seat, mic in hand, pretending to listen as the moderator droned on, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. She was sitting in the front row, not with the cast, but close enough that I could see the way she twisted her pen when she was nervous. We hadn't talked about what came next, not really. The show was a hit, our relationship was no longer a secret, but I wanted more than just stolen moments between takes and half-finished dinners after long shoots. When the moderator turned to me for closing remarks, I didn't even glance at the note cards. Actually, I said, standing, I have something else I want to say. The room went still. Cameras shifted toward me. I walked to the edge of the stage, every step louder in my head than the applause had been a moment before. She was already shaking her head slightly, like she knew what I was about to do and couldn't quite believe it. When we started working together, I began, you thought I needed help pretending to fall in love on screen. I smiled. Turns out, I didn't need to pretend. Not then, and definitely not now. Gasps rippled through the room as I reached into my jacket pocket. I don't want this to be part of the show, or part of a PR plan. I want it to be our story. I got down on one knee right there, in front of the cast, the press, the fans, and whoever else had managed to sneak in. Her hands covered her mouth. I held up the ring, simple, elegant, nothing flashy. Will you marry me? For a second, the world went quiet. Then she laughed, tears already in her eyes. Yes, she said, loud enough for the microphones to catch it. Of course I will. The room erupted, cheers, camera shutters, even the moderator clapping like we'd just wrapped an award-winning scene. The wedding happened 6 months later, in the only place it could, the hotel where the network had put us up during our very first location shoot. The one with the tiny rooftop terrace where we'd stayed up too late going over lines, pretending we were just working. We kept it small, family, close friends, a few cast members. The director gave a toast about how we'd improvised the best plot twist of the season. Liam made a speech so ridiculous it had everyone crying from laughter. When it was my turn to speak, I looked at her in that dress, sunlight catching the smile that had undone me from the start. We started with rehearsals, I said. And now we're here. No scripts, no retakes. Just us. From rehearsal, to eternity. She squeezed my hand. And for once, I didn't think about cameras or fans or ratings. Just the fact that the woman who'd once thought I was untouchable was now my wife. And this time, the role I'd landed wasn't one I'd ever let go.